Hello folks, Dom Lawson here from Metal Hammer magazine with another astonishing iron sandwich. One man sat in a shed talking rubbish. Today, well, people have asked me to do this, so I'm going to. That's not the only reason why I'm doing it. Obviously, I have free will, to some degree. But basically, I'm going to talk about the new Metallica and Lou Reed album. Now, obviously, you can read my review of the album in the new issue of Metal Hammer, which is brilliant, by the way. It makes all other rock magazines look shit. But you only get. I only had kind of 500 words to say what I thought about the Metallica and Lou Reed album, Lulu. And really, this is an album that it's very easy to just kind of join in the chorus of "oh, it's rubbish" and all the rest of it, because it is rubbish. But I think there are some important points to discuss, and I think I've seen a few people online kind of going, "oh well, stop moaning about it. If you don't like it, don't listen to it." But if you care about music and you care about metal and you care about Metallica, then this is a talking point, and it's an interesting thing to talk about. I think because it's we're observing the decline, at least in terms of decision making, of the greatest, or certainly one of the greatest heavy metal bands of all time, and without a doubt the biggest heavy metal band of all time. That's not really up for debate. By far the most commercially successful heavy metal band that there's ever been. And there will be many schools of thought on this. There are plenty of people that have enjoyed what they've done over the last 20 years, particularly. I know people that love Load and Reload and S&M, and I like the Garage Inc. album. I think that's got some cool stuff on it. Even though it's a covers album, it was a good covers album, and there's certainly some bad ones around. I gave St. Anger a good review when it came out, having only heard it once, but I was so excited that it wasn't boring like Load and Reload, or ridiculous and misguided like S&M, that I got very overexcited and kind of missed the fact that it wasn't very good. But there you go, we all make mistakes. I make no apologies for that, really. If that's the only album I've totally misread in my career, then fair enough. It is Metallica. One has a certain sense of optimism, even at this point, that at some point they'll put out a record that's actually really, really good. But Death Magnetic, again, in 2008 or whenever that came out, was met with loads of people kind of going, "Oh, this is brilliant! It's a return to form. This is what they should be doing," and blah blah blah. And it was again kind of people being far too kind and generous to Metallica, and kind of there's a couple of decent tracks on it, but the production's rubbish. It sounds sloppy. Half the songs could be cut in half and be greatly improved. There's a lot of really awful riffs on there that just, wouldn't have made it onto Master of Puppets in a million years, And I just think that the band's quality control has kind of gone out the window a bit, and that's even before this Lou Reed debacle, I mean, when we heard that Metallica and Lou Reed were going to do an album together, and I'm sure you've all seen the rather brilliant Downfall parody on YouTube, it was kind of like, why are you doing this? Surely I kind of understand why they've done it. Lou Reed said, "Oh, will you make an album with me?" And them being kind of of an age where they have a certain admiration and reverence for legendary rock figures, which is totally fair enough. They've gone, "Yeah, we'll do an album with you, Lou." And then Lou's gone, "Well, yeah, it's based on these kind of early 20th century German expressionist plays about kind of prostitutes and that, and it's quite dark and edgy and all the rest of it, and I just want you to kind of semi-improvise some music to go with my lyrics." And I can just imagine Metallica going, "Oh yeah, that sounds like something we could do, Lou. Yes sir, no sir, salute," rather than going, "Well, to be honest, couldn't we just write some songs? Couldn't we just write some proper songs, and then you can maybe like sing, like Walk on the Wild Side and that? Could we do something like that?" But they've gone into this kind of, I suppose, wanting to stretch their boundaries and do something adventurous and something out of their comfort zone. Meanwhile, millions of us are praying that they just do something within their fucking comfort zone and get a decent producer in to tell them what to do, and to have the balls to say, "No, that's shit, do it again," rather than like Rick Rubin just taking the money and buggering off down the pub until they're finished and coming in and going, "Oh yeah, it's all right, yeah, that'll do." But yeah, you can understand Metallica of taking the opportunity to do something that's exciting to them. And yes, it's a rich man's vanity project. There's no point in pretending it isn't. You won't find Job for a Cowboy or the Black Dahlia Murder going, "Oh no, I think I'll go and make an album with Kate Bush." I mean, it's not, the opportunities aren't going to arise unless you're hanging around with other millionaires at big kind of music industry or arty functions, and let's never underestimate Lars Ulrich's delusions of grandeur, with his art collection and all the rest of it, and I get a sense that the band are, half of that band at least, or certainly Lars, are moderately embarrassed by being a heavy metal band at this point. With with the different social circles that they move in now, they probably feel a little bit like the grubby kid brothers in the corner that are kind of do the shouty music that people think is ever so cute and quaint. And haven't you grown out of that yet? It's obvious that Lars is totally out of touch with the heavy metal scene. Many of you can remember that that he announced that his favourite band of the last decade was the Arctic Monkeys. Now, I don't mind the Arctic Monkeys, I think they're all right, but that's not really the point. If you're the drummer in the biggest heavy metal band of all time and the vast majority of your audience are metal fans, what people don't want to hear is you saying that your favourite music at the moment is an indie band from Sheffield. It's not. That have a bit of common sense and say that you also think that Lamb of God and Machine Head kick ass, or that you're massively into some other metal band that you've heard. You're Metallica. You're not called anything. Well, that's the thing that's so unfathomable, is that you're called Metallica, and that carries with it a certain responsibility. Now, you can also say they should be free to do whatever the fuck they like, and I totally see that, absolutely. But when you listen to Lulu, the thing that really comes across is that at no point has anyone sat down, listened to that album all the way through and gone, do you know what? This isn't really very good. Now, Lou Reed's bits are Lou Reed, and he does what he does, and it is a silly old fool mumbling in the corner about prostitutes, but that's kind of what he does these days, and I can see some Lou Reed fans are going to dig it, especially those that have never been into metal, because Lou Reed and his fans arguably have no idea what Metallica are for, what they're supposed to sound like. So, that they probably think, oh, well, this is really heavy and interesting. We know what Metallica are capable of, and that's why listening to this album, which is very badly produced, the guitars sound awful. I mean, there's one track called Mistress Dread, which is a fast kind of thrash number. The riff is rubbish for a start, but it sounds like a wasp in a bucket. It sounds terrible. Metallica should not sound like this. They've not been well produced since the Black Album, but it's a matter of taste on some of their albums since then. With this, it's just not. It's bad demo quality recording. The drums don't sound great. They're not played well either, frankly. And I'm not doing the usual. Lars is a shit drummer. Lars has had his moments, and there's nothing wrong with those first 5 albums as far as the drumming goes. But the drumming on this is just, there's a couple of bits where you think he's trying, something subtle's going on, and in he comes with his flipping sledgehammer, jack boots on. It's just, not good. The overriding thing is that there's not a decent riff on this album. The best riff is that doomy one at the beginning of The View. That is the highlight in terms of guitar playing. You can play Where's Kirk throughout this album. There's 90 minutes of going, where's Kirk? Has he gone down the pub to get some biscuits? I don't... Well, you don't get biscuits from the pub, but you know what I mean. Crisps. There you go. Where is he? He's not. Maybe that's him playing the guitar, but it sounds more like Hetfield all the way through, and probably Kirk's sat at the side going, "Oh, this is cool," and having a big joint. Rob Trujillo has obviously just been doing what he's told and going, "No, this is amazing. We'll make an album with Lou Reed," and getting his paycheck as usual. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And it's Hetfield that I worry about. I love James Hetfield. James Hetfield's amazing, and just when some of the bits where he's singing on this album, you just think, really, is that? Do you think this is good? Do you actually think this is good, or are you making the best of a slightly cringeworthy situation? I don't know. I mean, the songs are just bad. There's no good riffs. It's badly recorded, badly performed, and Lou Reed mumbles in the corner. Every time Lou Reed comes in, it's out of key. It's horrendous. It's like, what are you doing, mate? Have you no concept of flipping tunes? And I know he's not supposed to be singing a lot of the time. He's just talking, but he's even talking out of tune. If that makes any sense, it's horrid. Some of the lyrics are quite all right. If you're into new interpretations of German expressionist drama. I mean, that probably discounts the vast majority of people that are going to hear this album. But Lou Reed fans might dig that whole thing, which is fine. But I think that and as I say in the review in Metal Hammer, although probably with less swearing, the argument is probably going to be that you just don't get it. It's art. You just don't get it, man. Well, I do get it. I listen to lots of pretentious arty music, thank you very much. My son's middle name is Miles, after Miles Davis. I listen to Bitches Brew for fun, and I even like Lou Reed's Metal Machine music, okay? So it's not that I'm not used to flipping, I'm some stupid metalhead sat there going, I only like Pantera. I like lots of interesting music, thanks. I don't have a narrow mind when it comes to music. And I can tell the difference between a really great piece of art and something that's groundbreaking and challenging, and something that's tedious and pretentious and dull and misguided and that fails to reach its lofty aims by some distance, and that's the problem with this record. The best bits on it are the bits when you can't hear Metallica, when Metallica shut up and Lou Reed makes weird noises on his keyboards, and I can get that. I get those bits. The last 8 minutes of Junior Dad, the last track, is basically just a load of kind of weird string sounds and keyboards, kind of a tonal kind of droning thing. And you know, if I'd had a massive bong beforehand, it would be great. And I kind of quite got that bit, and there's a few little ambient bits on the album that are kind of quite cool and atmospheric, and then another leaden riff comes in and you just go, oh, for God's sake, can't you, you know, is this the best you can do? I think it's a mistake to improvise. Don't improvise, you're Metallica, write some songs, you know, and please God, get a decent producer next time. I mean, it's not a Metallica album, you can't say, oh, it's the new Metallica album, because it's not, you know, it's Metallica and Lou Reed, you know that going in. There's no point in getting all bitter and twisted about it, because the chances are they'll come back and make another album like Death Magnetic and everyone can go again, or get really excited for no apparent reason. But this really, you know, you can make as many allowances for them as possible, but at the end of the day, Lulu is rubbish, and it's unfathomable why they've released it and made such a big fanfare about it, because I can't imagine many Metallica fans buying that album, taking it home, listening to it and going, this is killer. And you've got to wonder what's going through the band's head when they make something like this and announce it going, oh, it's really challenging and daring and exciting. Do they not realise that people are going to think it's shit? I mean, really? Are they that out of touch with what metal is about and what, you know, and what they represent? You know, and we can, you know, to a degree, it's all us going, oh, boo-hoo, one of my favourite bands has made something I don't like. But it's 20 years of making things I don't like, you know, and making records that are below par and shoddy and boring, and, you know, and then you listen to Master of Puppets or Ride the Lightning or One, or, you know, and, you know, the Black Album even, which I'm not the biggest fan of, but I can, you know, it's no surprise why that is one of the biggest rock albums ever made, you know. It sounds incredible, and the songs are incredibly memorable, and they're well written and well performed. Lulu is dog shit, frankly, and you know, no amount of people saying it's clever and challenging is going to change the fact that most of us will listen to it and go, oh my God, what have they done? You know, and I'm trying to be kind, you know, you know. Some people aren't going to be as nice as me about it, so there you go. And then you compare it to what their peers are doing. Anthrax have put a brilliant album out this year, Worship Music, fantastic record. Megadeth's new album is fantastic. Even the last Slayer album, even though it was to some degree just Slayer, was a good record, you know. You know, it just kind of defies belief. Do Metallica not listen to metal anymore? I mean, I know that Hetfield does, because there's quite, you know, in the Machine Head fan pack, there's him talking about Machine Head and how brilliant he thinks they are, and how Machine Head remind him of Metallica when they were younger, and, you know, and how he sees them as kindred spirits musically. And you just think, well, why can't you make an album like The Blackening or Unto the Locust? You know, why can't you just make a metal record instead of this? Who is this appealing to? I don't know. Anyway, there you go. That was me waffling on for 13 minutes. This is the longest one ever. No surprises there. About Lulu by Metallica and Lou Reed. I hope you haven't lost the will to live, because I mean, 30 minutes is still not as long as the last track on the album. You know, I hope I'm not as tedious as that record, but there you go. Well, if I am, it's your own fault for sitting here listening to it, you know. And if you've illegally downloaded Lulu to listen to it, I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's your favourite. I hope you love it. It'd be lovely if there are loads of people out there that think it's brilliant, but it just isn't. And I don't think we'd be kidding ourselves if we said it was, really. You know, and it does put Death Magnetic and St. Anger into perspective, you know. I might even get St. Anger out for a spin later, just to remind myself what Metallica are capable of these days, you know. Don't listen to Kill 'Em All or Ride the Lightning, though, you'll just cry. Listen to them back to back with Lulu and then get really upset and throw your laptop across the room. Anyway, this was a rather depressing Iron Sandwich about one of the worst albums I've ever heard, I've got to be honest. I'd rather listen to Bullet for My Valentine. How'd you like those apples? Thanks for watching. Hopefully tomorrow I'll talk about something that isn't dreadful. And yes, have a lovely Thursday. And yeah, dear Laurie Anderson, please give Lou Reed a hand job. He obviously needs one. He sounds very, very upset. Cheers. Goodbye.